Congratulations for making it here to this page to learn a little bit more about the Purpose Embodiment Academy. So, if you are here, there is a part of you that is seeking for a greater alignment with your purpose and perhaps an alignment with your day job and your divine purpose. So many people go throughout their days working and doing something that doesn't fulfill them. And then they go home to more of a life of watching TV, eating unhealthy foods, and another life that doesn't fulfill them. And we get kind of lost in this cycle. And this program is a body, mind, and spirit transformation program inviting you to step into the next dimension. So, what do I mean by that? Well, this is where science meets spirituality. Speaking of day job to divine purpose, I myself had a spiritual awakening. I used to be an aerospace engineer. I worked with NASA and I had a 5-year career with Boeing. And then in my early 30s, I had what can only be described as a spiritual awakening. I went down the rabbit hole and began studying energy healing, began studying a multitude of different religions. I have studied Kung Fu with a Shaolin master. I've had nuns. I've had Easter and Christmas dinner with nuns in the monasteries. And I've spent copious amounts of time meditating at 10-day meditations where you meditate from morning to night. And so I really have come full circle to offer up a philosophy and a technique to transform our body, mind, and spirit, and bringing a cohesion between science and spirituality. And that is what this work is for. It is for the scientific and the spiritually minded, right? It's time that we bridge the gap of all this. So let's start with the science of the body. Everything in existence on an atomic level, if we think back to 5th grade science, we learn that every atom is a neutron, a proton, and an electron, and these things have next to zero mass and are primarily energy. In fact, every atom is made out of 99.999% empty space. When we have that much empty space in an atom, we get a collection of atoms and we get a cell. That means every cell is made out of 99% empty space. And then finally, a collection of cells, we get this beautiful thing called a human body and all the other material goods in the world. And these are also made out of 99% empty space. However, we certainly don't perceive the world as empty, do we? This certainly seems very solid to me. And so this is our perception. This is the sense perception that we experience as a human being, as this biological, energetic creation. Now, although we can logically understand on a scientific level that we are made of empty space, we are not experiencing that in our outside world. And what I am here to offer is part of that is because of our mental conditioning. So this is where we get into some law of attraction type things like see it, believe it, be it. This idea that we need to embody and create the world, that we are the creators. And by thinking it, by seeing it, by feeling it, then we can create it on the outside. Unfortunately, culture, religion, family has set a certain rule structures for the way reality is. And these realities, these self-limiting beliefs keep us contained and separated from our highest potential, which is on the body level is this awakening of this light body, right? In indigenous cultures, it would be called the awakening of the homeoluminescent being. And we might think that this is what our Yeshua, Jesus Christ, was embodying when he did his ascension, his resurrection. What we saw, what they witnessed was the light body. In terms of the mental, this is kind of where the Buddha comes in, right? When the mind is clear, when you've done certain techniques to clear the mind of self-limiting beliefs, we can start to create new realities. And so silent meditations are one way that works tremendously. And in my program, I'm employing a lot of neuroplasticity and higher level, newer age thinking that is taking into account some hypnosis, affirmations, and really getting into the science and psychology of the mind and reprogramming the subconscious to start to believe, to think, and do things that align with the reality we want to create for ourselves. And then finally, we have spirit. And this is where my heart gets so full. And there's also kind of the most misunderstanding and sometimes the least cohesion around what this spirit is. What is this God? Well, one thing that I can tell you is very firm in my belief system that there is this one God. It is in science the unified field in scientific terms. And of course, in spiritual terms, it is the universe, it is God, it is source, it is the force, it is great spirit. There are countless names for this. And I truly, truly believe all of us humans on the planet, regardless of our religion and our belief systems, that we really are all believing and praying to the same God. However, just like every human has different facets and we get to know different aspects of that human, this overarching God force kind of reveals itself slightly differently to different people of different religions because people incarnate on this earth to have different experiences. So some people know me primarily as a person that used to be an engineer, and maybe they don't have the awareness of me now doing spiritual guide work. And of course, other people never knew that side of me. And so when they get to know me, they might at first just see the healer, or some people might just see the creative artist and the dancer. So the idea of God, whatever this infinite, omnipresent, all-knowing force is, when we are expanding our consciousness and expanding our spirit, we're honoring that God is infinitely dimensional. And so when we allow everything that we believe about God that is good to be true, and then open to more and ask for more, we can bring in higher dimensional wisdom that will hopefully at some point in time bring us a unified theology, right? Or a philosophy that in some way incorporates all religions. And I'm not going to get into this video, but I've spent hours thinking about religion, and I can definitely see how it all comes together and how each one is a little piece of the puzzle. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to open to the oneness and the connection of all that is and all the people. And of course, why are we doing this? Well, when we look outside in the world today, it's not hard to see that things aren't going well. At the time we're recording, it is 2023. We are in the midst of a toxic presidential cycle. We have multiple wars going on. We have various levels of genocide happening. We are confronting Me Too and sexism in America and around the world. We're confronting systemic racism and Black Lives Matter. And so all of the planet is changing. We're confronting global warming. We're confronting weather patterns that we've never seen before. And so in all of this, how do we move beyond our fight and flight response to react in fear instead of love? And how do we let go of all the blame and shame for how we got here as a humanity, as a planet, and come together to heal ourselves and the planet? I believe this is what we are here to do. I believe we are here to create this heaven on earth together, and we start at the source, at the energetic source of ourselves, which is our body. And as each individual does this work to open a little bit more to their higher self, to bring themselves a little bit closer to this unified goodness, love, God, that we all create this group think, and that we really can see this planet transform in a way that maybe we haven't, maybe some people have lost hope for. But I am here to hold the hope. I am here to guide you through the fire. And so I hope you will continue watching this video, because I'm going to seamlessly flow into a clip where I'm sharing a little bit about the philosophy behind the Purpose Embodiment Academy and the Purpose Embodiment Method and the body, mind, spirit triad that is creating this worldview that I am offering up to people of all faiths. After that, we'll flow seamlessly into a short testimonial reel so you can see what other people who have been through the academy are experiencing. They're experiencing better relationships with their loved ones, more calm, clarity, and confidence inside the body. That is the beautiful thing about doing this work and getting to the root cause of our dis-ease, aka stress, anxiety, worry. it shows up in the body as stress, anxiety, and the worry, as well as in the mind. And so when we do this energy work, we're treating the body. And when the body feels good, the mind feels good. When the body and mind are aligned, the vortex of spirit is able to enter. So if you're wondering how everyday people are seeing their lives transformed with this work, watch the testimonials, and then finally give this page a little scroll, see what's going on. There are two paths in this work. One is a one-on-one path where we're working together one-on-one, and I love working one-on-one with my clients. And of course, because everybody is on a budget, and of course, time is an issue for so many people, there is a do-it-yourself online version where you'll be able to listen to these pre-recorded healings and audios in your own time, receive all of the healing and the power that you can imagine, because energy work transcends space and time. It is energy. And I have let go of any of my self-limiting beliefs regarding the ability to transform people in this way. And I promise you, the transformation on the online course is profound. And we still will be having 2 opportunities a month for live calls so we can connect one-on-one. So I invite you to continue scrolling down and click that button, jump in, and get started on a path for the rest of your life. And at the end of all of this, if you're still not clear, please book a purpose clarity call. There is no pressure for anyone to do anything or start an evolution that they aren't ready for, but sometimes we just need another to reflect back at us where we are, where we want to go, and how can we bridge the gap. And this is really just about finding if this type of work, if this program can help you bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to be, both in your personal life, and then of course when we're looking at the global, like where we want the where the planet is and where we want the planet to be. Because of course at the root, this work is in a sense generational healing, and we are setting up the planet with these beautiful divine feminine vibes 7 generations down the line. And so it is my honor to be with you. Keep watching, and I can't wait to connect more deeply with you. Mwah.
But I have this beautiful visual that I would like to share with everyone that, in a relatively simple way, I think encompasses some very, very deep work that we do in this 5-month spiritual and personal transformation program, specifically tailored for scientifically minded professionals. And so it is a body, mind, and spirit program. What might make this a little different than other coaching type programs is the spirit component, right? So I believe in order to be a fully integrated being, we need to take into mind this idea of a higher self or a spiritual self. And of course, this for me transcends any religion. All religions, all beliefs are welcome here. So when we focus on this as a full body system, we start with our body. Now, the body has programmed in it this fight or flight response. And so, what happens is when we are trying to get to the next level in our life, wherever we are, this kicks in. It's called the upper limit problem, and it keeps us from going to the next level. So, I call this the core wound that this work deals with. We really get down deep into the fight or flight. There's an element of generational healing, and especially for women, this idea of feeling safe and secure in our body. And you'll notice that is the one of the main inner results of this part of the work is an embodied inner feeling of feeling safe and secure and relaxed. And so when I say the personal pain, a person that this program is going to be perfect for is someone who's already out there seeking some sort of purpose or meaning in life. You may not know if it's spiritual, you may not know what a chakra is. You know, it's not really about what you know. It's about a sense that you have that there's more to life and you want to experience it. Then we move on to the mind component. So, in our world, a lot of us are carrying deep, deep rooted shame from many generations past, and of course just little things in our lives like our parents saying don't do that, you're too much, children are to be seen and not heard, don't cry, I'll give you something to cry about. So these kind of things kind of messed with our minds a little bit, didn't they? And so it creates this imprint of blame and shame. This is also those of you like myself who grew up in a Christian religion. The whole original sin is this idea of the fall of man being pinned on one woman and being cast into lack. And of course, that story in itself kind of creates a separation between the masculine and the feminine. And so throughout doing this work with the mind, we can get into what I called embodied intimacy. So when we're not holding on to blame and shame in our heart and mind from past experiences and past experiences with other people, we're able to show up in relationships, in work relationships, in personal relationships, a little bit more open, a little bit more authentic. When we show up more authentic and open, we end up encouraging other people to show up more authentic. And this turns out into more intimate relationships across the board. The pain point that a person that this work could really help with that I know is this deep rooted feeling of feeling too much and not enough. So you're very likely a high achiever. You've done a lot in your life, and sometimes you feel squashed by other people, or maybe even your own inner critic saying, don't do that. You're going to be too different. You don't want to be too different, trying to keep you small. In that same feeling of feeling too much, because you feel too much, you're not good enough. So you feel not enough at the same time. So, yes, it's very possible to feel like you're too much and not enough at the same time. And I know that there are some of you that are listening. And if you really get deep down and look into yourself, you might find like, I could see that's a little bit true. And so when we're working on the mind, we're kind of letting go of all of these notions about what other people think we are, who we should be, and we can come in to ourselves. So we're integrating body, we're feeling safe, we're feeling intimate. Then we have this spiritual component. So the spiritual component really is just this connection, this embodied connection with a higher self, or you could call it God, universe, creator. This work blends seamlessly into whatever belief system you have. And I think the core problem that a lot of us are experiencing on this planet right now is disconnection from this source. So a lot of people might go to church or pray or have certain rituals that they experience. But when you look out in the world, are you feeling the holiness? Are you feeling the connection? Are you feeling like God or source or someone has their back, has your back, or is it kind of just blind faith? So the person that's going to identify with this part of the work is having a deep sense that they're meant for something big. This has always been my story. I can't really explain it. Even when I wanted to be a teacher, I wanted to be like Jaime Escalante and change the world. I remember when I was in high school, I wanted to stay home and not work during the Super Bowl because I really did have this belief that the Publishers Clearinghouse was going to come and I was going to win $1 million. Like I've always had this feeling like I have a purpose. And then I had a spiritual awakening and it became even greater. And so if you have a sense that you're meant for something big, and it might not be in the spiritual realm, you just feel like you're supposed to have this amazing impact, create this amazing business, whatever it might be, it's something big. In many cases, it's just being a parent, right? Being a mother. It's that deep sense that you're here to do something special. And what we get as a result of this work is this embodied connection of feeling closer to source and the God and the higher self. And so what that looks like for me is just lots of little synchronicities. It's hard to explain what it feels like to know the spirits in your life. Usually there's smiling involved, and just like it's a sense of wellness. It's a sense of this goodness that is God is embodied. It's in your cells and you tap into it and it exudes out to you, to others, to the world. And so it's really hard to describe in words what this embodied sense of connection to spirit is like. It's also difficult to experience any of these embodied intimacy, embodied safety and security, because the mind has no frame of reference, because where we're going is deep, deep down into the energy field, working with the human condition, not just your personal life. So this is for people that want to go deep. You have a sense for something big. You know, you're too much because you do have that sense of something big. And so I'm here to tell you, along with other people in this program, that you are not too much and what you are creating needs to get out into the world. And then, of course, that purpose and meaning. And how does all of this inner stuff relate to the outside world? Well, I've labeled it into three things. One, you get this alignment of purpose and profession. So, meaning the work that you're doing is fulfilling in and of itself, and it might feel like it's your purpose, or your purpose is to go hiking on the weekends and spend time with your kids and enjoy your life. And so there's not this inner battle like, I have to be serving my purpose, I have to be doing this. No, the purpose is from the inside out. The purpose is a felt feeling of satisfaction that emanates out into the world, and in turn creates an outer world that is just as satisfactory. Mental wellness. So the world is full of anxiety. The world is full of stress. I sense a deep-seated sense of hopelessness, if I'm going to be completely honest. So that would be sadness. And a lot of people have a hard time accessing sadness, so they stay out more in this frustrated and angry world. And so we see with our divisive politics, divisive wars, divisive everything happening in the world, it does create a lot of mental anguish. Because even if you are a person that can cut a lot of the noise out, if you are listening to this video, you're likely a little bit of an empath, and there's probably more getting in than you're aware of. And so doing this so that all this chaos of the mainstream is coming in, right? Well, as you raise your vibration, all of a sudden the chaos isn't really able to get to you anymore. You're able to rise above it, and you do have this sense of wellness, of mind and spirit. It is called equanimity, a balanced sense, regardless if things are good or bad. You're able to just be like, okay, tackling today. And then finally, authentic leadership. And so this spirit aspect is what makes it authentic for me, right? That we are coming around as a fully body, mind, spirit person, where we can let our light shine. We don't have to be this person on the weekend and this person at work, because a spiritual eminence is not based on belief, right? It's what is. So when you show up authentically in your leadership, there's your spiritual essence is being embodied. That has nothing to do with your beliefs. This doesn't mean you go into the meeting, you start talking about your spiritual beliefs, and that's why you're being authentic. It's more that the spiritual light within you is surfacing, and that in itself is the authenticity, and there's no words that are needed. So I hope I did a good job. I'm trying to take like 15 years of work and try to put it in a little square visual, but I think I did a pretty good job. So if I've said anything that resonates with you and you're like, oh, okay, I can see where she's going now. Like, we're getting deep, deep into your personal world, childhood, stuff like that, just like the basic things. And then we're going even deeper into humanity, because we are talking about, got a triangle here, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so many of you have ticked all these boxes. You're so successful, and now you're at that self-actualization stage. And so what happens is it blows the top off, and you go back around and you start to look at the fight or flight again. Like, okay, what's the next layer? Keep going up, 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 and there, before you know it, you're a fully enlightened being. Let's do it.
Super simple question. How did you help? I mean, how did you not help is probably a better question. I knew that I was the struggle, but I couldn't figure out how to do it myself.
So I didn't know the beauty that would come out of learning how to release those, that feeling of calm and connectedness inside the body, because I'm a head-based person. By feeling, I mean the sensory experience, not just the emotive experience. I feel more calm and centered when I'm faced with the challenging dynamic.
And start let myself become more free and accepting of myself through the program.
I began to see relationships with my children changing and evolving. I started noticing that those one-word answers were turning into sentences, and then pretty soon conversations. And so this was a very authentic process or a holistic process, I guess, that just I think really opened up space for my children to come in and be their authentic selves, because I was in a different space while I was working with Lynn.
Being able to set boundaries in my romantic relationships, that's something where I've really seen a difference.
Blessings have come in ways that like I would have never expected.
I was not totally in alignment with myself. I'm just feeling so much more like myself and excited about like what the possibilities are for me, feeling more connected to spirit and just like getting more of a sense of like alignment with my purpose in a more specific way than I had been before.
I just feel like having worked with you for the 4 months, the shifts were subtle, and then all of a sudden you realize, okay, wow, things have changed. Just the way that I react differently, how I feel a lot more calm, how I'm able to shift my energy more effectively. Just
really bringing me back to me. It's really the reminder to take that moment and just sink in for yourself. All these other people, everything I do is serving other people. But what am I doing for me? And this time out has really brought me back to that so that I can come back to those things charged, ready to serve at a greater place.
I left every session with like feeling like a whole new person.
What's really going to do is pave the way not only for the future of our relationships, but as Lynn and I were talking earlier, as well as for my grandchildren. My grandchildren will potentially be able to have different relationships with their parents, as well as a different relationship with myself, because of this work.
Using a glitchy old computer, sometimes you need to upgrade the hardware, and sometimes you need to upgrade the software, and sometimes you need to upgrade a little bit of both. So I love that you were kind of my guide to be upgrading my software, getting rid of the old glitchy software, and installing new and better software.
What Lynn does is really like it's following a particular structure and sequence, but it is exactly like channeled for you and where you're at, what you've gone through, what you need. So I highly recommend.